The focus has been from the opposition on the Prime Minister, hasn't it? They've really targeted most of their questions at Albanese. What are we seeing here?
Yeah, we did the sum. So the past couple of days on Afternoon Agenda, I've been pointing out just how much the opposition is tackling pretty much the Prime Minister, and that's it in question time. Nearly every question going to him. So Treasurer Jim Chalmers and others that you would normally see questioned in a question time situation just aren't getting questions. Well, we've crunched the numbers. In the past 2 days, the opposition asked 22 questions of the PM and just 7 of other ministers.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister.
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 Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister.
So traditionally, particularly when economic times are tough, you would expect a fair few questions of the Treasurer in this situation. Jim Chalmers is really fired up on his opposite number, Angus Taylor, whenever that's happened. We saw today, and we'll have a look at a minute, at Anthony Albanese actually handing one of these questions over to his Treasurer, which isn't a bad tactic. The opposition believes it can pile pressure on Albanese. They feel that Albanese is fine when things are going his way, but not so much when the pressure is on. They feel they can, or they are trying to define him around this cost of living issue. We shall see, because he's been around for a while and he might not have the great one-liners, but he seems hard to trip up to me. But certainly one line the opposition seems to have tested successfully and want to take through all the way to the next election is this one.
Why do Australian families always pay more under Labor?
Why do Australian families always pay more under Labor?
Why do Australian families always pay more under Labor?
Why do Australian families
always pay more
under Labor?
And Andrew, we saw an example of the coalition again targeting the Prime Minister, trying to get him on a bit of detail. He offloaded to Jim Chalmers to finish his answer. Yeah, and you got a few mentions here, Kieran, I noticed, about an interview with Angus Taylor where Angus Taylor made a mistake. So, of course, this is about Anthony Albanese stuffing up during the election campaign, couldn't name the unemployment rate or cash rate. So Angus Taylor's often tried to trip him up, and now he's asked him how much above the Reserve Bank target rate is inflation. We know inflation is 7.8%, and the target rate is 2 to 3%. But you'll hear Jim Chalmers here in answering once Albanese hands it over, say 2.3%. So Jim Chalmers himself makes a mistake as he admonishes Angus Taylor over his interest rate mistake in an interview with Kieran on Afternoon Agenda recently. Listen to the exchange.
It deserves a go because I lead a cabinet-level government. I lead a cabinet government in the best traditions of the great Bob Hawke. And that's why we have ministers, so they can do their job. But our plan to deal with the inflation challenge within the economy is relief, repair, restraint.
I think if the Shadow Treasurer needs us to tell him what the inflation rate at 7.8 and the target rate of 2.3%, then we've got even bigger problems than we feared about old mate over here. He does not have a clue, and that's why he doesn't ask me the question, because he knows I'm watching Kieran Gilbert talking to the member for Hume, and he knows that the member for Hume dropped an absolute clanger on Kieran's show last week. The Shadow Treasurer of this country, the guy that wants to be the Treasurer of this country, doesn't even know how much interest rates...
Time has concluded.